Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. We are diving straight into the fire hose of X today, pulling out the biggest topics, the breakthroughs, policy debates, global culture clashes.
Yeah, it's quite a mix. We've synthesized it all for you, though, trying to grab those key knowledge nuggets.
Exactly. We're looking at AI speed, some controversial money talk, and, sports fandom psychology.
It really shows that tension, doesn't it? Tech moving at light speed while society kind of lags or debates.
Right. So think of this as your shortcut, your curated briefing to get you totally up to speed. Let's kick off with tech. XAI is moving at a pace that's, frankly, dizzying. It started with just 2 words from @Elon Musk. Grok upgrades.
Yeah, short and sweet, but huge implications. And what's really interesting isn't just that there's an upgrade, but the scale of it. It feels like Grok's moving from just a chatbot to something more capable,
Yeah.
significantly more.
Okay, so when you say capable, we're talking numbers that sound almost made up.
Yeah.
What were those benchmark jumps people were sharing?
Well, there were two main things. The Grok 4 Fast model, its reasoning accuracy, that's its ability to figure things out logically. It jumped from 77.5% up to 94.1%.
24%. Okay. And the other metric?
Non-reasoning stuff. So, like, remembering facts, staying coherent. That went from 77.9% to, well, almost perfect, 97.9%.
Wow. Okay, so reasoning close to 95%. What does that actually unlock? What can it do now?
So that's pushing into what people are calling agentic AI performance. Basically, it means the AI can start to plan and maybe execute complex tasks on its own, multi-step stuff.
Ah, okay, so not just answering a question, but building a plan, finding the data, running the plan.
Exactly. That's a game changer for businesses, for enterprise use.
Yeah, that lines up with what Tetsuya posted. They said, XAI quietly dropped a massive update for Grok 4 Fest today. Grok 4 is the best model in the world right now. Pretty bold claim.
It is bold, and, a big reason for that claim seems to be the context window. It's short-term memory, basically. The headline feature is this massive 2 million token context window.
2 million tokens. Okay, break that down. What does that actually mean for, someone using it?
Right. So think about reading a really long book. Most models, like ChatGPT 5, sits around 400K tokens. It can maybe analyze the last chunk of the book well. Gemini 2.5 Pro, that's 1 million tokens, so maybe half the book.
Okay.
But Grok, with 2 million, it can hold entire huge documents, think legal briefs, massive code bases, long financial reports, all in its memory for one single prompt.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. It changes how deeply you can analyze stuff.
Got it. And they're making it easier to access too, right?
Yeah.
As Subidos posted, you can now access Grok right from your lock screen.
Yep. People got pretty excited about that. Seamless mobile AI, But it also stirred things up a bit. Lots of feedback about it being iOS first. Android users weren't too happy, felt a bit left out.
Ah, the classic platform divide.
Okay.
One last tech ripple before we move on. So an interesting post from @TobyFron. He used to be at Google DeepMind. Now he's at XAI. He was asking about Google's internal culture. Specifically mentioned that controversy around Noam Shazir's posts getting, censored internally.
Right. And Shazir is, a big deal, one of the inventors of the transformer model that basically powers all modern AI. It hints that maybe Google's internal culture, which used to be known for really robust debate, might be changing, becoming more cautious, maybe?
So engineers like Foon might be looking for places where they can still have those open, critical discussions about AI's direction.
Seems plausible. That tension between open development and corporate control, definitely something to watch.
Okay, let's pivot. From the near perfection of AI code to the messy reality of human money and politics, housing is buzzing, and it's about this really controversial idea shared by @Leading Report they posted. Breaking! President Trump appears to announce his intention to normalize 50-year mortgages, attempting to make it easier for young people to buy a home.
Yeah, that one definitely got people talking. I mean, the political angle's obvious, right? Housing affordability is a huge issue, especially for younger buyers. Extending the mortgage term way out lowers the monthly payment. Instant relief looks good on paper.
50 years? That's longer than most careers.
Exactly. It pushes that debt way, way out, beyond a typical working life.
Haven't we seen something like this before? With bad results?
We have. You just need to look back at Japan in the 80s. They actually tried 100-year mortgages.
100 years? Wow.
Yeah. It fueled a buying frenzy for a bit, but then, well, it trapped families, even generations, in debt. And when property values eventually fell, people were stuck with massive negative equity. It was a disaster.
So the risk is you're just kicking the can down the road. shifting the interest burden onto the future instead of fixing prices now.
Pretty much. It tackles the symptom, the high monthly payment, not the root cause, which is the high price itself.
Let's look at the numbers. App the Chief Nerd posted a comparison for a $400,000 mortgage at 6%. What did that show?
Yeah, the math is pretty stark. That $400K mortgage at 6%. Over 30 years, your total cost is about $863,000. Over 50 years, it balloons to over $1.26 million.
Whoa, so what's that, like $400,000 more just in interest?
Over 400K or more?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically the cost of another house just going straight to interest payments.
Okay. And the reactions online were split, right?
Totally split. You had one camp calling it financial slavery, basically saying it chains you to debt for life.
Mm.
But then others were more pragmatic. They said, look, take the 50-year term if you need the flexibility, that lower minimum payment.
Like a safety net.
Exactly. A safety net for tough times, job loss, medical bills, whatever. But their advice was crucial. Pay it like a 30-year mortgage whenever you possibly can.
So it's less about actually taking 50 years to pay and more about having that emergency option. Risk management in a shaky economy.
That seems to be the takeaway for those defending it.
Yeah. Okay, switching gears slightly within finance. Government efficiency. The Department of Government Efficiency, handle at DOGE, posted about cutting waste. They said, contracts update. Over the last 5 days, agencies terminated and descoped 67 wasteful contracts with a ceiling value of $1.04 and savings of 648 mammers.
Right. That $648 million saving is a decent chunk. But what's interesting is what they're highlighting. They're focusing on these really specific kind of niche things like a $54,000 State Department training called Leader as a Coach.
Okay.
Or a $456,000 contract for an FM broadcast service in South Sudan. Small potatoes, maybe, compared to defense spending, but they add up.
So the point is that waste isn't just in the billion-dollar projects. It's hidden in lots of smaller, maybe overlooked contracts.
Exactly. And focusing on those specific, maybe obscure examples seems to resonate with people demanding less waste.
Got it. Okay, one last finance-related post. This one from @Friedberg was pretty sharp, kind of satirical. He posted, no taxation without representation, but let's go ahead and just seize the means of production.
Huh. Yeah, you need the context for that one. He's definitely being sarcastic there. It's referencing President Trump's, let's call it unconventional suggestion to the CEO of Novo Nordisk.
The drug company. What was the suggestion?
During a White House event, the president apparently suggested the U.S. government should take an equity stake, basically, partial ownership in Novo Nordisk, in exchange for, favorable regulatory stuff on their big obesity drugs, Wegovy and Zepbound.
Wait, the government takes ownership in a private company for regulatory favors?
That was the suggestion, yeah. Which is why Friedberg's joke lands. Seize the means of production is classic socialist communist rhetoric. Applying it to this situation highlights how weirdly interventionist the suggestion was, coming from that side of the political spectrum. It's definitely not your standard approach to drug pricing.
Okay, yeah, definitely unorthodox.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift gears one last time. Culture, gaming, and some global vibe checks. Starting with the eternal wait for GTA 6. Syntha Tato posted something that really captures the fan agony. They said, if you're wondering why GTA 6 is taking so long, Red Dead Redemption 2 has fully rendered 3D clouds that you can fly through in a game that has no flying.
Yeah, that says it all about Rockstar games, doesn't it? That obsession with detail, like creating these incredibly complex, volumetric 3D clouds that you technically could fly through, even though the game mechanics don't allow it.
It's almost unnecessary detail.
You could argue that.
Yeah.
But it speaks to their whole ethos. Quality and graphical fidelity above everything else, above speed, for sure. Yeah. And that kind of perfectionism is exactly why they pushed GTA 6 back again, right? Now it's November 19th, 2026.
2026. I saw a GTA 6 info posting old rumors about it coming out in 2020. The fan disappointment is real.
Oh, yeah. Caught between wanting perfection and just wanting the game now.
Okay. Moving from game worlds to the real world. Beatrice Geithner had this funny post comparing cultures. This is a 10-minute walk. I'm too European for this. What was the context there?
Right. So the context was this discussion about pharmacy deserts in Massachusetts, a situation where for hundreds of thousands of people, the nearest pharmacy is like half a mile away. And that distance is considered a major access problem.
Half a mile. That's the desert.
Yeah. Which, to someone from a more walkable European city seems kind of crazy, a 10-minute walk. It really highlights the difference in infrastructure, doesn't it? how car-dependent the U.S. can be and how corporate closures are hollowing out basic neighborhood services.
Yeah, puts the pharmacy desert idea into a different light.
Yeah.
Okay, shifting to sports culture now.
Yeah.
At Touchline X posted a great quote from the Argentine footballer Julian Alvarez. He said, "The other day in the national team, someone made me notice that I was the only player who didn't have tattoos."
Yeah, Alvarez is known for being super disciplined, very grounded. And in modern football, being tattoo-free is actually pretty unusual. He credits his dad. Said his father had strict rules. No tattoos, no smoking, no alcohol.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just a neat little insight into how strong family influence can shape an elite athlete's lifestyle, even surrounded by, different norms.
Discipline is key. Okay, speaking of getting players motivated, Nigerian football fans have a unique approach. Ed Uncle Ayo posted, "When is the Super Eagles playoff again? We need to start dragging them at least 4 days before. It worked the last time."
Yeah, dragging. For anyone not familiar, it's this specific part of Nigerian fan culture. It means intense public criticism, roasting the team on social media, putting immense pressure on them before a big game.
Like negative motivation, shaming them into playing better.
Pretty much. And they genuinely seem to believe it works. He mentions it worked the last time, probably referencing a specific win.
So they're planning to do it again for the World Cup playoff semifinal against Gabon, which is what, November 13th?
That's the plan. Preload the criticism, build the pressure. It's this fascinating cultural psychology using collective negative feedback to try and force a positive result.
Yeah.
Very intense.
Intense is right. Okay, last one. A quick vibe check on family. At iFin posted something that really resonated. A picture of a close childhood family moment. But the caption was, "From growing up like this to barely talking to each other as adults."
Oof. Yeah, that one hit home for a lot of people. That contrast between childhood closeness and adult distance. Life happens, people move, paths diverge. It's common, but maybe sad.
Is there data on that? Like, does staying close actually matter?
Actually, yeah. There's research showing that frequent contact between adult siblings is linked to significantly lower rates of loneliness, like 20–30% lower. So those early bonds, even if they feel distant sometimes, maintaining them seems to have real psychological benefits, worth putting in the effort, maybe.
That's a really good point to end on, the value of intentional connection. And that wraps up our deep dive for the daily vibecasting today. We've hit the highlights from across the timeline.
Yeah, quite the spectrum. We saw AI like Grok getting scarily close to perfect reasoning, ready to tackle complex problems, and then right alongside that, we're debating 50-year debt cycles and whether yelling at your football team online actually makes them win.
Yeah, it's quite the contrast, isn't it?
It is. So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. Our tech is racing towards computational perfection, achieving these incredible benchmarks. Yet our human systems, finance, community planning, even how we motivate each other, they remain fundamentally messy, emotional, driven by these very human pressures and quirks.
What does that say about us? Our AI gets smarter while we're still figuring out the basics of living together.
Something like that. Definitely something to mull over as you process all this.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.